Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So yesterday we took a general look at all of the changes or the major changes coming to pre-season 10 and just season 10 in general. But today I want to focus on a specific topic. I want to talk about all of the new items coming for pre-season 10 and just season 10 in general, which of course does include the lethality rework. So if you guys end up enjoying this video, then don't forget to hit that like button as per usual. But let's not waste any more time and let's just get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about are going to be the changes coming over to the support items. I kind of want to get this one sort of out of the way almost so I can really truly focus on lethality, which is next. So Riot's goal with the support item rework is to kind of refresh the support choices in the shop. They want them to be less poachable and have an expanded quest system that should be more satisfying overall. And support items no longer have to be upgraded in the shop. Instead, now as you get the first support item, or in other words, the starter support item, it'll auto upgrade as you finish its quests. So as you can see here, tier 1 is the starting stats in the gold generation passive. Tier 2, the stats are improved and you get 3 wards added. Tier 3, major stats upgrade. Now it's a forward ward capacity and the gold generation passive is completely removed. This is going to open up a lot of options for support champions in general as to who can even be played as a support, and the reason for that is quite simple. Because support champions won't have to just sink in so much extra gold, about 1500 gold or so, to finish off their actual support item to the end of it, this is going to make things a lot easier to start building into other items as well while you slowly, passively upgrade your starting support item to the final stage. But of course, with that being said, the overall stats offered by these support items now is going to be lower, but I think that kind of makes sense. Now, having said that, they're also going to be changing the way the support items actually work and what they actually are. So now there's going to be 4 starting support item options, and they are as follows. You're going to have 2 Spell Thieves passives, or I guess 2 Spell Thief items. One is going to be for AP champions, one is going to be for AD champions, and then you're going to have 2 Targons as well. Again, one for AD champions, one for AP champions, and then you have the coin, which is completely removed. But you might be wondering, this might be a nerf to ranged supports overall since coin is now removed, and if you're playing someone like, I don't know, Lulu or something and you want to be a little more passive, well then you don't have the coin option anymore, which kind of sucks, right? Well, the fix for this is the fact that Targons can now be procced by ranged champions as well. And just to make sure that these items aren't going to be starting to get abused by solo laners and maybe even other champions as well, like AD carries, if you are going to be farming consistently, so if you're consistently attacking minions, getting CS, in like a regular sense, as if you were essentially a mid laner, let's say for example, or an AD carry, well, it's going to completely reduce the amount of gold that you're getting from these support items so that, again, they cannot be abused by non-support champions. So that way there is kind of the more or less TLDR of the support item rework. I think it's a pretty good change overall. It should, in theory, of course, open up a lot more options for which champions can be played as a support champion, and overall I think it's going to be a very good and healthy change. Next up, let's go into the changes coming over to the lethality items and just lethality in general as a whole. So there's going to be the same lethality items being Duskblade, Ghostblade, Edge of Night with some small changes, and on top of that, 2 new lethality items coming out as well, or at least at the moment, as far as I've played or what I've played at Riot Games from right now. Duskblade and Ghostblade are more or less the same, with some small changes here and there, which we'll go over very soon. Edge of Night's Spell Shield now works like Banshee's Veil, which is a more straightforward effect that avoids the learning curve of an active item, while also allowing for clearer counterplay opportunities for opponents. Personally, I think that's a really bad change, which we'll talk about very, very soon. I'm not happy with that one whatsoever. Moving on, we have a new item called Sanguine Blade, which is a new lethality item that is great for split pushing because you get a lot of extra attack speed when no allies are nearby. And the other new lethality item that was implemented from when I played at Riot Games was going to be essentially a time mat that eventually converts into kind of like a Ravenous Hydra-ish type item that just offers lethality instead. And there's potentially more items coming out as well by the time Riot actually kind of fully secures down their ideas. So before we go into each individual item themselves, let's quickly talk about the, I guess, purpose or the idea behind all of these changes. So now you're going to notice that each lethality item, they're pretty much trying to force you to only buy 2 of the current 4 options of lethality items. And the reason is because they all now have these new kind of combo effects where if you have 1 or 2 lethality items, you get these extra benefits as well on top of the base stats that the items offer. But if you buy anything above 3 lethality items, you no longer get these extra added bonuses, so you actually substantially lose the kind of cost efficiency from buying a 3rd and even 4th lethality item. Pride wants to try and force people to make decisions, so like let's say choose 2 of the 4 lethality items based on the champion you're playing, on the current game matchups, etc., while also going into other items that are not lethality oriented, like Guardian Angel, Last Whisper, BC, etc. Now this all may sound a little confusing, so let's just get right into it and let's take a look at the actual items from the game. So the first item, of course, is the Serrated Dirt, which I think is completely unchanged. Moving along, we have the Youmuu's Ghost Blade, which for the same amount of gold, you actually lose 1 lethality, because look how it works now. 2900 gold, right? Same AD, 12 lethality, same unique passive and active, but now at the bottom, it has that set bonus, where with 1 lethality item, you get the Quick Hands kind of extra effect, which gives you 10% CDR and plus 5 lethality, of course, equaling 17, as opposed to the current Youmuu's on the live service, giving you 18. Now, one thing to note is the fact that no matter which first lethality item you get, even Edge of Night, you still get the 10% CDR. So for now, getting just a single lethality item, for instance, Youmuu's, actually makes you more or less unchanged entirely with how much lethality you get. I mean, you lose 1, but it's really not that bad at the moment. Moving on to Duskblade, we can see here that, again, for 2900 gold, you're essentially getting the same stats, but you're only getting a 15 base lethality, and if you were to get Duskblade as your first item, you would get the first bonus, right, 10 CDR plus 5 lethality equaling 20 total, which is actually also, like Youmuu's, 1 less lethality than the current Duskblade on the live servers. But let's say Duskblade is your second item, right? Your first being Youmuu's, your second being Duskblade. Well, now, combining everything together, you get the second bonus called Dual Wield. You get extra 10% CDR, so you're at 20, which is the same, of course, but you get an additional 15 lethality. Now, assuming it works in the way where you get plus 5 from the first bonus and then an extra plus 15, so plus 20 total from the bonuses at the bottom, the set bonuses, you'll now get 47 lethality at 2 lethality items as opposed to 39, which of course is substantially more. But then this is where the issue comes in, where if you decide to get a third lethality, since each lethality item in itself gives you a lot less base lethality, you'll be losing a lot more after you get the third one. But moving along, we also have the new lethality item called Sanguine Blade, right? For 3000 gold, you get 45 AD, 12% lifesteal, a flat 12 lethality, and you can see here the unique passive Unquenched. When hunting with no allies nearby, gain up to 80% attack speed based on level. Now, I did playtest this one on Zed, I believe it was, and I think Kiana as well, and I have to say, it was really, really good. Like, I actually really liked it. It's extremely effective as a split pusher when it comes to dueling, when it comes to just pushing in for the towers. It is very, very powerful, and I can see this being one of the most powerful lethality items to take in general. Next up, we also have the quote-unquote new Edge of Night, where you can see here for 3200 gold, you get, again, more or less the exact same stats, but again, the biggest difference, and the one that I don't like, is the unique passive, the little spell shield that you get. It works exactly like a Banshee's Veil, as opposed to being an active item, which you can choose when it's actually kind of active and doing its job. Keep in mind, however, that the new Edge of Night does cost a little bit extra gold, I believe 200 extra. You actually get 50 less HP from the item, and you actually get 3 less lethality, assuming you build Edge of Night as your first item. So in other words, now you only get Edge of Night if you just absolutely desperately need that Banshee's Veil type effect. But let me quickly explain why I don't think it's a good change and why I'm not a huge fan of it. The reason is because, well, as an assassin, right, it's very important to pick your fights correctly and go in when you want to go in, right? It's not like a mage where you can just sit in the back, you have the Banshee's Veil proc, and it'll absorb something that catches you off guard, for instance, right? Like maybe a Lux Q or Morgana Q or something like that, when, you know, it's doing its job. As an assassin, you're a lot more specific as to when you want to fight, when you want to actually charge in and all that stuff. So because you can't choose when the Banshee's Veil or spell absorbing bubble on you exists or turns online, it's going to make things a lot more difficult to actually choose to when to go in, because as an assassin, like I said, it's very, very specific on the timing. The reason they're doing this is because a lot of people, especially in lower elo, apparently forget to even use the active in general, and they want to kind of make it a little bit, I guess, easier to use overall, which I, again, personally don't agree with. But I mean, that is the change as of right now. It might not be the final change, but it is what it is right now. And the final new lethality item is Umbral Hydra, which, like I said, is essentially Titanic Hydra and the other one, where it's just the lethality version of it, right? For 3,325 gold, which is a little bit of an odd number, you get 55 AD, 50% base health regeneration, 12 base lethality, plus of course, again, the set bonuses down there, depending on when you get it. And then you have the passive Cleave and the active Umbral Strike, which is very similar to what the current Titanic Hydra and Ravenous Hydra offer, except Umbral Strike, you can see, it says that your lethality is doubled effective if Umbral Strike hits a single enemy. So in other words, if you're dueling one-on-one, that auto attack is just going to be doing substantially more damage since it will essentially double your lethality for just that one instance. Now I really like this new item because champions like Talon, champions like even Kiana that like to go for items like Time Man, well, you no longer have to kind of buy it and have it awkwardly sit in inventory and then maybe eventually upgrade it, maybe not, right? It no longer just feels like an item that you just have to get for the wave clear because you don't have any other option really, and it just, you know, it's like that kind of weird apple in the bunch, you know? It never felt really that good in my opinion. Now it actually feels great because you can upgrade it early. You can get it into an actual item that feels like it belongs in your inventory, which I think is fantastic for those champions. So there you guys have it overall. I mean, those are the new items and changes to support items and lethality items coming in pre-season 10 or season 10 in general. So let me know what you think about it down below. Let me know what you think about the new support items and the lethality items. Personally, I think the lethality items have the good parts and the bad parts. I don't really know what we're supposed to build after the first two lethality items. I mean, I feel like we're just always going to have to go Black Cleaver, Last Whisper, like pretty much every game. There's almost no reason not to, because getting a third lethality item now is just super cost inefficient. So I think in that sense, it's going to be kind of awkward. There's just not many other options, but overall, I still like kind of the idea that they're going the path that they're taking, giving us more options with the lethality items themselves, giving new items, making Time and actually build into something useful, which is great. And yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.